Welcome. In this presentation, I discuss how career choice is understood across two fundamentally different paradigms: individualist frameworks, which center autonomous and self-directed decision-making, and relational, collective, and land-based understandings, which situate work within social relationships, communities, and place. Understanding these distinctions is foundational for culturally responsive career counseling. Traditional Western career theories rest on four core assumptions. Person-environment fit holds that career development involves matching personal traits, interests, and abilities to occupational environments, as in Holland's Rya-Sek typology and Super's lifespan theory. Linear progression treats career development as following predictable stages driven by rational self-concept. Individual agency places self-efficacy, autonomy, and intrinsic motivation at the center of career frameworks, like social cognitive career theory. And free choice presumes that individuals can pursue any occupation given the requisite traits and motivation, treating structural constraints as background variables. These assumptions, rooted in Western industrialization, the Protestant Reformation, and market economies, have profoundly shaped career counseling theory and practice in ways that demand critical examination. Relational and collective frameworks offer a fundamentally different account. A career is inseparable from social networks, kinship obligations, and cultural norms. Agency is co-constructed. Families and communities deliberate together, and success is defined by collective well-being rather than individual advancement. Research confirms this. Akosa Tumasi and colleagues found that youth in collectivist cultures are primarily influenced by family expectations, and that career congruence with parents increases self-efficacy. Bakan's framework, extended by Jansen and Cranston, highlights how career motivation is mediated by connection and a sense of social belonging. Toivainen, Annis, and Wright both show that agency is enacted within networks. Guidance practitioners must support clients within their social contexts rather than apart from them. Land-based understandings, developed primarily in indigenous contexts, treat connection to place, territory, and community as inseparable from work. Shea's research established that for indigenous populations in settler colonial contexts, all four dimensions, individual, relational, collective, and land-based, operate simultaneously, making single-axis career frameworks insufficient. Three dimensions emerge from this literature. Ecological stewardship shows that work is inseparable from environmental preservation, as Ramdani and colleagues document. Intergenerational knowledge transmission shapes career paths across generations through livelihoods tied to land and local ecological knowledge. The colonial legacy is material. Shea documents that Indigenous peoples in Canada hold only 0.2% of the land and face poverty rates 11% higher than those of non-Indigenous populations. Land dispossession constrains career opportunity in ways career theory has rarely addressed. The core distinction between these paradigms lies in the locus of causation. Individualist models located in the individual mind and volition. Preferences, efficacy beliefs, and deliberate self-regulation drive career decisions. Relational, collective, and land-based models locate causation in relational ecologies, shared community norms, and material constraints shaped by history and place. Both paradigms recognize motivation and agency as central. They differ on what drives motivation, what counts as agency, and who or what constitutes the relevant unit of analysis in career development. That difference has significant consequences for how we conduct career counseling and for whose experiences our theories can actually describe. A consistent finding across this literature is that individualist career models fail to describe the lives of many populations whose decisions are shaped by structural racism, collective family values, and unequal labor market access. Garibay found that underrepresented students of color were systematically classified as incongruent with STEM because they expressed social agency, a value Holland's typology treats as incompatible with scientific careers. This reflects a flaw in the theory, not a deficit in the student. Vespia and colleagues describe mainstream career counseling as grounded in masculine and Western European values that conflict with those of clients from non-dominant groups. Betts extends this critique to many women, particularly women of color, for whom family and collective obligations are central to career decision-making. The dominance of individualist career models is not simply a matter of theoretical preference. It reflects broader dynamics of cultural hegemony, colonization, and the uneven production of knowledge in the social sciences. Leong and Pierce identify forces that both facilitate and impede the development of indigenous psychology in career contexts. Globalization and migration bring diverse career frameworks into contact, but ethnocentrism and the false consensus effect, assuming one's cultural norms are universal, continue to marginalize non-Western approaches. The individualist collectivist distinction also operates as a continuum rather than a binary. Akosa Tumasi and colleagues found that bicultural youth occupy intermediate positions that shift depending on the degree of acculturation. Career frameworks must account for this fluidity rather than assign individuals to fixed cultural categories. Several frameworks attempt to bridge individualist and collective orientations. Betts's ecological perspective complements traditional vocational psychology by incorporating environmental interventions and social support alongside individual difference variables. Hanson's integrative life planning moves beyond job matching toward career decisions made for the common good, with counselors as social advocates. The careership model draws on Bourdieu's concept of habitus to situate individual decision-making within unequal social fields. The culturally appropriate career counseling model requires counselors to assess cultural identity, acculturation, family influence, and discrimination while monitoring their own cultural assumptions. Narrative and constructivist approaches allow clients to construct career stories that integrate cultural values and family history, rather than simply respond to standardized assessments. The practical implications differ substantially across frameworks. Individualist approaches call for autonomy-supportive environments, self-efficacy building, deliberate career planning, and culturally validated assessment tools. These are legitimate strategies when structural conditions genuinely permit free choice. Relational and collective frameworks call for strengthening social networks, leveraging local norms and collective identity, and developing assessment methods that capture spiritual and place-based dimensions absent from standard tools. Both approaches require acknowledging structural barriers that demand policy-level responses. A finding from Vespia and colleagues warrants attention. Counselors' multicultural self-ratings correlated more strongly with general career counseling confidence than with actual multicultural practices. That gap between self-assessment and behavior is precisely where training reform is needed most. This research confirms divergent patterns across cultural contexts. Family expectations dominate career decision-making in collectivist settings. Personal interest prevails in individualistic ones. Both paradigms recognize motivation and agency as central, differing primarily in what constitutes the locus of causation. Two research gaps stand out. Land-based frameworks remain nearly absent from mainstream career development literature, despite their centrality to Indigenous career experiences. New culturally valid assessment tools are urgently needed. The field is moving toward frameworks that honor both individuality and interconnectedness. As counselors, we contribute to that movement every time we assess not only what a client wants, but the relational, cultural, and structural conditions that make certain choices genuinely possible.